there's a corner named Xavier Lucas in Wisconsin who has entered his name into the transfer portal after one season with the school Wisconsin. And Wisconsin denied his request, claiming the 2-year revenue sharing agreement, to Steve Kim's point that you should be signing contracts. He signed, by the way, subsequently on December 2nd, is absolutely binding. And he additionally signed a separate deal with Wisconsin's NIL collective. And the NCAA bylaws mandate that universities must enter players into the transfer portal within 2 business days of a request. So 2025 marks the first year schools can sign revenue-sharing contracts with players and directly pay them for their services. However, the contracts are not technically allowed until the House settlement reaches final approval. The final hearing will take place April 7th of 25. According to Heitner, the contract Lucas signed is only a memorandum of understanding, and it isn't enforceable until the settlement is finalized. Steve, where are you at with this Miami deal?
I don't look. I'm at a point now. And look, I'm a Miami Hurricane diehard. I believe he's on the roster. I think the NCAA actually admitted, hey, there's no real such thing as a transfer portal. Guys can just go in and out when they want. So you've created this anarchy. Darren Heitner has been doing various podcasts. I believe he was on with my guys, Roman from the Orange Bowl boys. Also, Danny Money, Peter Reeves. Shout out to you guys. Kane's Inside, good friends of mine. You guys want to punch those up. He'll explain it. Coach, I'm at a point, I'm like, okay, let's get the spring ball. Let's see who leaves after spring ball. I'm going to start paying attention to this in June and July, and that's it. Like, I've kind of checked out. Even yesterday, I'm like, let's get this game over with. I mean, it doesn't involve any of my teams. But this is what they have created. But, Smitty, what I've told you this for about a year and a half now. If this is pro football, let's have multi-year contracts that are binding on both sides that come with guaranteed money, bonuses, money that is guaranteed that must be delivered, but also certain standards in terms of playing. You can't sit out. You got to actually kind of sort of go to class once in a while. You can only, but again, I think a lot of this could be eradicated if you didn't have a transfer culture where, number one, I know people are going to disagree. And yes, I never ran the NCAA, but anyway, I would say you have to sit out 1 year, regardless.
Smitty thinks that too.
You can only transfer once. The other thing that I would do is to make sure that players don't leverage their own school. Let's say I'm Steve Kim, greatest place kicker in NCAA history. I'm John Lee 2.0. But let's say, this school's offering me. Let me put myself in the transfer portal to scare my current team to up my deal. No. I think once you go to divorce court, get the fuck out. You can't go back to your school. Final. But it's final. Like, if you want to put yourself in the portal, get the step in, as Martin told Gino one time. Okay, that's it. So all you need to do are these certain things. I would even put in a rule, old SEC rule. You can't transfer within conference. All right, so for all those people saying, why are you trying to restrict player movement? Well, that's my opinion. You could have yours. I'm going to have mine. This is what I would do. What you would do, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. It's just crazy to me, man. Spring ball in winter conditioning starts January. Like, winter conditioning in college football is January. That is when, I don't know, I'm an old Anage guy, but the offseason is where champions are built. Always been that way. In my opinion, it'll always be that way. Yeah. Like, you're strapping these coaches that you will fire in a New York Minute for losing. You're strapping them to limitations when you don't even get your team until April, May, and June now. This is like high school. I don't get it. I don't understand why the committees.
It used to be that as soon as the spring game was over or spring ball, you're like, okay, that's my team. We're going to have to ride with it. We're going to have to find a way. Now there's a whole new waiver. Okay.
Well, that's our team accompanied with our freshman signees from high school that we'll get in the summer and most likely redshirt 90% of them, and maybe we'll get a few gyms that are ready because they've been working out and doing the regiment we sent them after we signed them.
Right.
That's what we used to do. We used to send them the workout plan. We send them the offense and the defensive playbook. They're not sending shit no more because these kids are going to a school for fucking 2 days like the kid at Oregon who goes through playoff practice and then transfers to Cal before ever even going to see a class. Like, this is a joke, man. Like, come on.
Here's the issue, though. Even if you are a powerhouse, as much as I don't like it, you have to use the portal if you're going to compete, and you better have an NIL package that is steep. Ohio State's a perfect example. They've had $20 million plus salary cap, which will now become 5 years from now, we're going to be like, man, that Ohio State team was underpaid.
Right.
Yeah. But look, Caleb Downs, he'll be a top 10 pick. They're cleanup safety, great player. Alabama. Shaun Judkins, one half of their dynamic duo. Ole Miss. Will Howard, Kansas State. They don't win without these guys. They don't win at all. So you better be able to marry your own recruiting, your own evaluation, then development, and then you better pick up the supplemental pieces. If you don't do it, you're going to end up being Dabo Sweeney, who, by the way, he's now using the portal. He understood. He got it. He said, I'm putting myself at a competitive disadvantage if I try to do it the olden way.
Hey, it's like Sark and them told me a couple years ago, you got to keep up with the Joneses now. That's what it is. They keep up with the Joneses now because if you don't, it is what it is. Look what's going to happen. That's why, in my opinion, though, keeping up with the Joneses will continue to drive coaches out of college football to the NFL.
I agree.
Period.
I
That's
agree.
What it is.
And look, and I'm gonna repeat myself here. If I am a big time booster or donor at a school, if you leave my program, I would just tell them, good luck, young man, and you see my phone number, delete it. You're dead to me. I'm not getting you a job. I'm never helping. Now, if you graduate from our school and exhaust your eligibility at my program, you're a hurricane for life.
Right.
Okay. So, but in 5 years from now, when you're down on your luck and you could use a recommendation, if I see your phone number, I'm going to tell you there's going to be two things that happen. I'm going to push that red button and I'm going to delete your number. Or number two, I'm going to say, hey, you know that guy that poached you from us? Yeah, call him. Click. That's it. These things have to go both ways. Loyalty or disloyalty has to run in opposite directions at the same time.
That's life. It's a life lesson too. And that's why, to your point, Steve, I agree with you wholeheartedly that, to me, if they just change one rule and put the portal, the transfer back to the one-time transfer, sit out a year, to me, that changes everything. Just one rule, one change. And now players have to really think, like, okay, is it really that bad here? Do I really want to leave? Do I want to miss a whole year of football? Like, it changes the scope of everything. The transfer portal now gets diluted completely, which makes these coaches have to go back to the old school way of going to high schools and going inside, talking to grandma and mom and trying to really recruit. To me, that fixes everything.
You know, I'm reading a book called, I forgot what it's called, Fear No Man. It's about the building of the 1991 Washington Huskies. They're the co-national champions, but obviously the second best team behind Miami. But it talked about how Don James,
Mario Bailey
was on that team. Napoleon Coffin, the great Steve Entman, Dana Hall, DeMarco Farr, Ed Cunningham, Brunel, Hobart. But anyway, there were a couple players that said early on in the process, I was thinking about transferring. I didn't think Washington was the place. Maybe, and they said, you know what? That whole thing of sitting out a year, they said, we might as well just stay here. Yep. And guess what? They're glad that they're stayed at Washington. Their lives would have been different. Their careers would have been different if they would have just had the easy route to just leave and, hey, in 3 months from now, I'm suiting up.
One thing I actually agree with JB on is sometimes young people, we like, you need barriers, or you need something to like protect you from yourself because you just don't know any better. And like things, coaches yell at you, or you're not playing as much as you wanted to your sophomore year. And just because of your emotions and people around you, making comments, whether it's family, social media now, the added pressure, you'll just enter the portal and leave without even giving it full thought of what you have now. When I played college ball, I didn't redshirt. So, I played early, but I didn't become a full-time starter until my junior year. So I had to really grind and wait and sit back. And it was games I played 5 plays. It's like, it's what it is.
Yeah. Nowadays, he's been gone. Yeah. You'd probably want to bounce out of there. Not to your fault. I'm just saying, like nowadays, people would have been like leaving like crazy. There's no way they're staying 3 years and not playing.